I just love springtime.
Me too. The weather is so much better. I can cycle outside more often, and the flowers start blooming in the garden.
Oh no, that reminds me, hay fever and itchy eyes. But other than that, I really like the springtime.
You know what I like about this time of year? I like the chocolates in the shops. The big chocolate eggs and the marshmallow bunnies.
I like something that my Jewish friends eat this time of year, and it's called matzah bread, and they can often put kinds of spread on it.
And I like the hot cross buns with its cinnamon flavor, especially with butter on it when it's nice and hot.
So, Dad, what's the story behind all the different types of snacks and chocolates this time of year?
Well, it has to do with Easter. And there are lots of traditions that different religions celebrate around Easter time.
I get what Christmas is about, the baby Jesus, Mary, Joseph, and the gifts, but what's Easter about?
Dad, I heard someone said it's a Christian festival, and someone else said it's a Jewish festival.
And I read somewhere that it's something that you celebrate outside in nature and not inside in a church.
Well, you are right on all three counts. Easter, as we know it today, comes from the traditions of three religions. Let's look at each one. When in the year is Easter?
The beginning of spring, isn't it?
Yes, and what do we see lots of in springtime? Murray, you mentioned flowers in the gardens. We also see lots of baby bunnies and baby deer.
The garden birds have new baby chicks.
And all the new blossoms and buds in the trees.
Yes, so there's lots of signs of new life. Some very, very ancient traditions celebrate the return of life from the earth and plants. So the nature religions celebrated the return of growth during springtime, typically after the 21st of March, when the daylight hours are longer again and the night hours shorter.
Is that why we move our clocks forward this time of year?
Yes, nowadays because we have more daylight hours from the end of March, in other words, from the beginning of spring.
Right, so that explains all the chocolate bunnies and marshmallow eggs. New life at springtime.
That is some of the old religions that worshipped what they believed to be the spirits behind the forces of nature, like the rain and the sun.
But what about the matzah crackers that we see in store that my friend Samuel likes to share?
So that comes from the Jewish religion. This time of the year, every year for almost 3,000 years, they have celebrated the Passover with a special supper called the Passover meal. It involves some special food, including your matzos and eggs and wine and some meat, typically lamb's meat, kind of like a barbecue or a stew.
But why do they eat lamb?
The lamb is part of the Passover meal, and that is a very special supper that traditional Jews celebrate once a year to remember a very special event in their history. You can read all about it in the Bible in a book called Exodus.
Right, I know that story. Moses and Pharaoh and the 10 plagues.
Indeed, that's the story of how God helped the Israelites, or what we call the ancestors of the Jews, to escape from Pharaoh, who was a terrible dictator who had made slaves of the Israelites. What is the Passover lamb? Jesus was a Jew, and they believed that God freed them from the slavery under the Egyptians thousands of years ago. Part of the story of the 10 plagues was that for them to be freed, they had to slaughter a lamb, like a barbecue. Every year the Jews celebrate the Passover as the start of their year.
And the lamb and the matzos, remember?
I'm getting there. So, Christy, the night before they were to escape in their thousands out of Egypt, they had to eat a Passover meal that included a lamb and bread that they had to make quickly without yeast. So that's why the matzos are so flat. And nowadays they also include boiled eggs in their Passover meal.
So if the bunnies and eggs remind us of old nature worshipping religions,
And the matzos and the lamb remind us of the Jewish religion.
so what's the story with the hot cross buns?
For Christians like us, that reminds us of Jesus that was killed on a cross on the Friday. The hot cross buns remind us of the cross. Christians believe that Jesus was like a lamb that was killed to make us all free from sin and selfishness. Just like the Jews believed the lamb that they had slaughtered was part of them being set free from the terrible Pharaoh. But there is more. The Christians believe that Easter is not only about the Friday, but also about the Sunday. We believe that Jesus was made alive again on the Sunday, Easter Sunday. That's why we have an empty egg, because we believe the grave was empty. The story of Jesus being crucified and being resurrected on the Sunday is also in the Bible in the books called Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and also John.
Is that not the name of the Beatles?
No, that's John, Paul, Ringo, and George.
No, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are the names of the first 4 books in the New Testament, which is in the Bible, which each tells lots of great stories about the life and death and the resurrection from the grave of Jesus. So no, it's not the names of the Beatles.
Daddy, you talk too much. I'm gonna eat my chocolate bunny now.
Happy Easter then!
To everyone.
Everywhere.